Welcome to game number 1. The map is, of course, Overgrowth, a classic that we've all seen a million times. But kicking it off into game number 1 of this quarterfinals best of 5. In the northern spawn position, our orange Terran player, this is Ceonsamea. And in the southern corner, we do have potentially the favorite heading into this match, our purple Zode player who tore it up in the round of 16. Can he continue that tear in the round of 8? He is Zode. Going for that hatch before pool. It is indeed going to be gasless, of course, but we do have, I unfortunately wasn't quite watching. I'm going to assume it was a 12-12 as far as 12 racks, 12 gas for Ceonsamea. Going to be a relatively standard opener still. I mean, of course, it is TVZ. Reapers can be extremely powerful, and these are not the top-end players of the world, which means sometimes those Reapers do maybe a bit more damage than we would expect. But Zode is no chump. He is not necessarily going to be a player that I would expect to lose all that much to this Reaper. He's going to be well-practiced against this sort of style. And, I mean, he did tear it up against some Terrans in the round of 16 there to get into this place because he was in a triple Terran group. He was the lone Zerg Hope, and he advanced first out of that group. So he does have experience playing against Terrans in this particular tournament, even just the previous round, to make it into here. First Reaper is on the way, and of course there is a second one queued up. I know some players have been kind of favoring this triple Reaper play. We'll have to see if it's actually going to be into that triple Reaper for Ceonsamea. But Ling's going to be on the way, and of course the gas was taken shortly after the pool as well. So Ling speed isn't going to be that far delayed, and for now it's looking like it's just going to be the double Reaper as the factory does get added on for Ceonsamea. And that barracks most likely going to be used for some add-on or another. Reaper darting around inside of the natural. So far, good control from Zode. Hasn't actually lost a single Zergling. We'll see if he actually ends up losing this drone as it is going to be taking a couple of shots there. There's into the extractor. One of these queens will pop out there, which means he is going to be able to push away the one Reaper. Now, if there would have been a third Reaper on the way, he could potentially challenge this queen. But with only the two Reapers, he's not quite going to be able to do that. Reactor also being added on to that barracks, and the factory could be swapped out for some Hellion play. Some Terrans do like to go into the Widow Mines. I'm not exactly sure of the playstyle of Ceonsamea, but for now, his Reapers are unfortunately not going to be doing all that much. The other interesting point for Ceonsamea is his fast third command center. Yeah, before even his natural finishes up, he is adding on that third CC, and technically, he does add it on a fair margin before the third hatchery of our Zerg player. And that is, of course, just before that 6-minute mark. There's not necessarily super heavy aggro play going to be coming out from our Zerg. Hellions on the production tab, as you guys can probably see, but again, this is not looking anything too crazy. This is not looking all that fantastical for Ceonsamea. Zode is most likely going to have a very good idea of what is going on as far as the build orders just based on how this game has opened. He's actually, if he pokes in with his Overlord just a little bit further, then Zode will know exactly what is going on. I mean, he can probably just assume based on, again, what he has seen. He's going to be staying active with his Lings. He's securing that third base. And a little bit of a supply block there, not too big of a deal for Zode. It is going to be causing him some trouble, but it's into the Baneling nest, as he's potentially going to be going for a Ling-Bane combination. Will he decide to go some sort of 3-base Muta combination? It's possible. I'm not, again, 100% sure what he's planning for. Hellions and Reapers going to be moving out into the middle of the map. Zode is going to be getting eyes on that, as he does kind of flood his Lings around, trying to find an opening here or there. Potentially could have gone into the natural, decides to go for the Hellions instead. We'll end up losing pretty much all of these Lings. The last 3 that do escape are remarkably low on HP for now, and, well, they're dead now. He does have 16 more Lings on the production tab, but this has kind of given the note to Ceonsamea that, hey, my wall is kind of open. That could have been a lot worse than it actually was. I'm going to go ahead and throw on a bunker into the middle of that wall off. and that's just going to be giving him that extra bit of defense. But 2 Evo Chambers going to be on the way. It's going to be into 3 base and upgrades for Zode, as he is going to be adding on that layer as well. Unfortunately, the Reapers and the Hellions not necessarily able to push all that far in just yet. Potentially, they'll be able to swing over by the 3rd base location and do some poking, do some harassment there. But for now, things are looking all right for Zode. He's done a good job of locking up his bases and making sure... Oh, this queen actually is going to be getting eliminated, as his defense was pretty good. He will end up losing that 1 queen, and some of this creep will be getting cleared, which will deny that kind of connecting creep between the natural and the 3rd base, which is so annoying to have that denied. A couple of lings being sacrificed, just going to be pushing back that Hellion Reaper force, but the +1 upgrades are on the way for our Zerg player. He's going with the melee, and he's, of course, going to be potentially looking to put on some damage with these lings. Still hasn't pumped out a huge committal to army just yet. He's really looking on saturating that 3-base economy, really looking to just put on that economic advantage and trying to press that area. But Ceonsamea, can he actually get any drone kills? Because for now, it's just been a couple of queens, which is nice to pick off the queens when and where you can, but it's not necessarily going to be enough to stop the full might of this Zerg force. If he can actually pick off some of these drones and really eat into the income, that could potentially be a game changer. But he's actually going to be starting to eat away into these drones. A couple of the drones being eliminated here as 4 go down, and of course, knocking down the queens and eliminating that extra larva injects is going to be really nice, as the Zerglings trying to get us around here on the Hellions, not quite going to be able to get as much surface area as they would like. The Hellions are extremely low on HP and will be finished off. The last one does get trapped. No, he actually does call off the attack at the last moment there, but only 5 drones ended up going down. Now, our Terran player does have the 3rd base established. He does have that just beginning to mine now as he transfers SCVs over there. So that's a potential very wide open position for our Zerg player to take. Now, our Zerg opponent is going to be dropping down the 4th base, but also the macro hatch in the main. He hasn't actually saturated that 4th base location, but he's going to be most likely looking to transfer workers as this game progresses. 3rd base is going to be technically a little bit oversaturated there, or a lot of it oversaturated by our Zerg player. Ceonsamea adding on the armory, maybe a little bit later than a lot of other Terran players like to do, but he is going into that full bio mode, adding on more and more racks inside of his main base. He's going to be getting his macro up and running, powering it to pretty much the max, but it is being spotted by the Overlord in the main base, and that Overlord also going to be scouting out that, oh yeah, well, he did scout the refinery over at the 3rd base, but technically, I'm actually kind of surprised Zode hasn't actually seen that 3rd base. Somehow or another, he actually managed to miss technically seeing the 3rd base. 20 lings on the production tab, but the upgrades are what's staying even between these 2 players, as the Overlord dropping at the potential 3rd, which, I mean, lots of players do like to take that 3rd. The more aggressive 3rd kind of allows you to rally forward and cover that 3rd base that Ceonsamea has taken with your reinforcement rally, which can be advantageous depending on how you're looking to play as Terran. Widow Mines finally being mixed in, but potentially we'll see some drop play to try to break this Zerg down. For now, Ceonsamea hasn't really put on that much pressure. We saw the big Reaper Hellion play, which did a little bit of damage, but Zode overall has done a good job of defending. He hasn't really allowed the Reapers early on to do any damage. He didn't allow the Reaper and Hellions to do absurd amounts of damage. And for now, he's going to be powering into that nice mid to late game, potentially. Where he's going to be looking to falter is engaging off creep. Time and time again, we've seen some Zerg players just totally mess up engagements. In the natural, a couple of SCVs going down. 6 of them do get eliminated there, as that is actually 8 going to be going down in total for our Zerg player. A nice kill there, as he's actually able to kill off 11 as he's claiming more and more workers in the main base, where those Zerglings are finally moving in. But over at the 4th base, in kind of that angle of death, that alley, which can be so bad for Terran players, the drop does have to be forced to pick off and taken away. A small contingency of Marines in the main base trying to do some work. They are going to be potentially cleaning up some of these drones there. Actually, surprisingly, killing very few of these drones, but they are going to be getting eyes on everything that is in there, which unfortunately isn't all that interesting for our Terran player over at the... Oh! the absolute massacre coming in from these banelings, going to be decimating every single one of those SCVs, as 48 SCVs have been cleared out of this game in just the last couple of minutes, and only 3 drones have actually gone down by our Terran player. He's just trying to tear through the main base. He will finally eliminate that one hatch. There is still the macro hatch, so the production isn't necessarily affected as much as Ceonsamea would have liked it to have been, but Zode has definitely put the hurt on the economy of Ceonsamea. He's got only 28 SCVs to power through the remainder of this game. Can he do it with his far superior army supply, since they are equal on upgrades? The Spire coming in, it's a bit late, maybe a day late and $1 short, as they say, but if he can hold on until those Mutalisks finally come out, he could potentially just swing in and trash a lot of the remaining economy. This attack not going very well for Ceonsamea, getting completely cleaned up there. The Widow Mines didn't quite have the miracle hits that sometimes we see them have, and that engagement on creep could have gone a lot better for Ceonsamea, but Zode able to pull that out with a nice crushing there. Going to be following it up with 50 Zerglings on that production tab. Just a crazy amount of production going to be coming out for our Zerg player. Of course, powering those 70 drones. That's what's allowing him to do this, is he is going to be morphing in more Banelings to help him deal with this Terran threat. A potential 4th base will be added on for our Terran player, but does he actually have enough SCVs to fully saturate 3 bases? If you count mules, he might just have enough to keep his income alive. But it is into that late game tech for our Zerg player as he adds on the infestation pit. And heck, you might as well get an extra hatchery as well, rebuilding the one in the main base, because there is still some minerals there, and technically it is worth it. As he's not completely mined out. Ceonsamea gearing up for another attack, is going to be potentially pushing back down into the Alley of Death, as this is a lot of Widow Mines potentially firing up. The splash damage is nice on the Widow Mines, but it's actually going to be damaging the medevacs, which is unfortunate for our Terran player, as the entire army is getting pushed back, and Ceonsamea doesn't have the forces necessary right here on the ground to deal with this Zerg attack. Potentially once the Thors get onto the front lines and are able to absorb some of those Banelings hits and actually do some of that damage, they'll be able to really help out with this army. But for now, Zode just pushes back our Terran player, pushes back Ceonsamea, and is going to be looking to take a powerful position in this game. More and more Corruptors being added on, as well as the Hive Tech going to be achieving that late game status. But if these Corruptors are able to clear out the medevacs, suddenly this bio army has so much less potential, it has so much less clout in it, and the Corruptor is going to be getting dangerously close to cleaning up some of these medevacs. They are forced to pick up and get on out of there, as this one medevac full of Marines is going to be heading into the main base. Zode has way too many forces here just waiting in ambush, going to be able to take out the medevac with the Corruptors most likely if he decides to focus it. Last couple of shots going to be impacting, as the medevac boosting away will be able to escape for now, and Zode does call off the chase. Now, Thors are here on the front line, and Widow Mines potentially if they get those miracle shots, but this does need to be a bit of a miracle because these attacks have just been going so poorly. I can't imagine that for too much longer Ceonsamea will be able to really withstand this. A couple more bad engagements and he could really be pushed out of this game, but he has had the army supply advantage for a long time. He just hasn't been able to make any major headway with it. Baneling's going to be coming in, impacting on a lot of those Marines. Pretty much every single one of them does get cleaned up there. Even the Thor going to be doing a bit of damage, but it does get pushed back by those Banelings, does get completely annihilated, as the spread on the Marines is pretty good. And finally, our Terran player has pushed back this Zerg attack, but can he actually lock down any sort of headway? Can he actually make anything happen in this game? Because he again is not really able to saturate his economy in the same way our Zerg player was. He was never able to really recover in a way that he would have liked to, and even though his economy is looking a lot healthier now, he hasn't really been able to do any damage to our Zerg player, who's really just been the one doing that bit of damage. But the defense was good by Ceonsamea. He has held on, and if he suffers more Baneling hits on his SCVs like we saw earlier in this game, potentially game-ending, as Corruptors are going to be taking some nice shots on the medevacs. Finally, that medevac count is dwindling. Going to be, well, it's no longer absorbing a lot of that army supply and kind of artificially inflating it for our Terran player. But Banelings crashing forward, going to be trashing into that Thor. Won't quite be able to finish it off with the Zerglings, but more and more Zerglings going to be pumping on out. Zode seems determined to do this with Ling, Bane, Corruptor, which is not necessarily a combination that you see all that much. And finally, there we go, the level 3 attack going to be coming out for our Zerg player, adding on those level 3 upgrades, which, you know, he's at the level 2 for quite some time, but this is his next advantage over our Terran player, because, of course, +3 hasn't even started for Ceonsamea. He's just going to be focusing on that 2-2 and staying alive. Just now is going to be adding it on. Again, he does have that 4th base up and running, which is going to be serving him very well, but can he keep up with the macro once this next base gets online for our Zerg player? Because it is almost a disturbing number of hatcheries on the map overall. A slight push out by our Terran player, but he doesn't split back. The Marines do get completely clouded there by those Zerglings. The Thor gets surrounded. The Widow Mines do basically, basically nothing, but a bunch of Banelings just accidentally impacted there, just doing really nothing, and suddenly these Widow Mines getting some nice shots off on the Zerglings, actually able to clean up a majority of those Lings and pushing back a lot of this force, but there isn't much unit. There aren't very many units left over for our Terran player. Ceonsamea is getting pushed back once more and going to be forced to evacuate that base. Now, fortunately, that base has already served the majority of its purpose, but now, as 13 SCVs go down and the Thor gets almost completely surrounded by these Zerglings, the meat shield that is the boys, that is the SCVs, just not able to save our Terran player. Ceonsamea is just getting crushed. He's getting battered into the ground by Zode, and he takes a commanding supply lead in basically every way. His economy remains strong. His army supply doubling that of Ceonsamea, and with +3 upgrades going to be finishing up relatively soon for our Zerg player, he is going to be looking to be in a fantastic position. Again, just pushing out Zerglings and Banelings, never really worrying too much about other units. Yeah, he did get the Corruptors to help him deal with the medevacs, but other than that, he just has not pushed out that many units that aren't Zerglings and Banelings. Finally, going to be taking the gold. Actually, kind of surprised he didn't take the gold a little bit earlier into this game, but our Terran player, he's got the Planetary Fortress. That is his lifeline. He's adding on another command center and potentially going to be pulling a lot of SCVs over to that new mining base. But Zergling's going to be coming in. Can Ceonsamea actually hold on? The Thor gets 100% surrounded. Baneling's going to be impacting. Maybe not great Widow Mine hits at all, as unfortunately these medevacs have hardly any units to pick up inside of them. They have hardly any units to actually heal the orbital at the natural, being assaulted directly now, and the Zerglings just crashing into the main base. The few that do get there get a couple of hits in before being cleaned up. The GG comes down, and Zode will take it. Welcome back to Vani Research Station and spawning in our northern position. Currently down 0-1, unfortunately. He is our orange Terran player. He is Ceonsamea.
And his opponent spawning in the southern location representing Clan 440. It is going to be your purple Zerg player, Zode.
I always love the things that people come up with for clans, because it's you can see like literally a clan be almost anything. People come up with crazy names.
Well, you know what people have been doing nowadays in Legacy of the Void? They'll have like the name Player 1, but then they'll name their clan like who they are. So say Zode was playing in Legacy of the Void. He would be Player 1, but his clan instead of 440 would be Zode. Something like that. I don't know why. I don't know.
They just like,
seen it a lot.
For me, it always shows up as like a random word. It'll be like some weird word, but then in game, like if you chat with them, it shows up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's their BattleNet tag. The battle tag, by the way, in case you were wondering. The regular name that they picked, and then it'll be the battle tag inside of the game.
Oh. Yeah, so game
that's why you see the different one.
In Legacy of the Void, I was like, some Terran guy, I don't know. and then GLHF, and then Masa responds GLHF. I'm like, oh, all right.
A Season 2 ASL Prime Champion, by the way.
How about that? And he totally wrecked me.
Yes.
But, ooh. Nice into the Spore Crawler. Oh, a complete surround on this Reaper. Absolutely crashed there.
Yeah, that's actually pretty big here.
Yeah, but I mean, if you trade
usually
one
you
drone,
get the drone, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So actually, Zode going to be completely trapping that Reaper, and now that makes the second Reaper kind of like the awkward guy who's just like, hey!
Exactly. Shows up to the party after it's all over, the lights are off, and everyone's sleeping. That's pretty much what this Reaper is doing here.
Yeah.
Because usually when you invest in 2 Reapers, you want to get some damage done. You want to get that drone, but you want to keep the Reapers for the follow-up Hellion push. So a little bit of a setback, I would say.
And I mean, Ceonsamea, he did go all the way to 3 Reapers. Of course, losing 1 means that he's only got 2, and he can't really challenge the power of that Queen. Oh, is he going to lose another?
Wow.
Oh, those Reapers so slippery, but potentially going to be taking a little bit of damage if he... Oh, he jukes.
The jukes. Nice. He needs to be careful, though, because Speed is going to be finishing soon. And a few Lings... Actually, no, that's the perfect timing. These Reapers are not going to be in any danger yet, because all the drones are actually being made here by Zode. But Ceonsamea is playing with fire, man. Like, usually as a Terran player, you are home. You're like, peace out. I did my damage. That's it. And he realizes that and goes on home. So
yeah, if you get a little bit too used to being dangerous with your Reapers, one of those days you're going to slip up, and exactly what happened with Ceonsamea. The complete surround. Nice play by Zode. Now, Zode going to be following it up with a third hatch just past the 6.5-minute mark, but he is pushing out quite a few more drones after that, so he's not necessarily going for like the big swell of units.
Yeah. Like, what he's doing right now is getting his third up. I don't know if he's confirmed what's going on in the base of Ceonsamea, but Ceonsamea is going for a third command center himself, so he's not going to be able to put too much pressure on, but he still can be, actually, very annoying, especially destroying the creep tumors in order to negate the creep spread here from Zode, especially because the third is only just now going down.
Yeah, that creep spread is not looking too hot, but the other kind of thing... Okay, so now finally the Overlord is coming back in for Zode. He's going to be getting eyes on that Terran base and going to be looking for the extra racks that are being dropped down. Going to be confirming it's not mech, since it is Vonnie Research Station. That does need to be confirmed.
And is he going to get it? He sees the third, so you know right now that it's not going to be like a crazy, say like a Hellbat all-in. He could still go for Hellbats, but seeing the engineering base would be like the best scout, but seeing that third base means that like you're a little bit more safe to drone if you really wanted to. So I feel like Zode got the information that he would want with that Overlord. You never want to sacrifice it for no reason, but he was able to get that info.
Yeah, able to get a pretty good read on his Terran opponent. Now these Hellions and the Reapers poking away at the front. These Queens are doing a good job guarding that ramp, not letting anything get inside. But can the Zerglings get us around? There's a big group coming up from the north.
That's a lot.
Oh, they are going to be potentially able to trap a couple of these Hellions. Will they actually be able to get the damage off that they need? The Hellions doing a good job of cleaning up a lot of these Lings, but there's the surround, there's the damage. Everything dies.
Everything? Wow. So now you know what Zode feels like? I'm the man. 13 drones on the way. 1 upgrades coming too in the lair. So that is pretty much the biggest pressure that you would expect when you scout the 3cc, right? So he's going to be all right, and feels pretty comfortable to just drone up. And now what is Ceonsamea going to do? That's what I'm wondering.
Shutting down that pressure just feels so good as the Zerg. And now Ceonsamea, he's like, oh, I was supposed to do more damage. I was supposed to slow down the Zerg with that push, but I didn't do anything. So I would be quite surprised if he moves out too quickly with this third CC. He needs to really secure that location.
Exactly. I feel like he's going to chill at home. And you know what, though? Zode could get a bit cheeky himself if he wanted to. He could have actually made a bunch of Banelings and just busted up there. Once you get that map control, you are able to take control as a Zerg player. But, you know, Zode playing it a bit more like a macro player, getting that 4th base. He knows his opponent is going to be on 3 base. And he could even poop creep here, but I don't think he's going to poop it.
So close. Yep.
Delays it a little bit, but, you know.
Yeah. But yeah, the 4th hatch on the way, but also the macro hatch in the main coming down for Zode. So he's going to be adding that on. And then the layer allowing him to get up to that Mutalisk, or excuse me, the Spire. I almost called it a Mutalisk then.
I do that all the time too, like especially with like Terran stuff. I'm like the Hellbat machine. Oh, factory. Never mind.
Yeah, it just pumps out Hellbats, right? That's what it does?
Pretty much. The Widowmine maker? I don't know. Like Widowmaker? Hey. Soup to woo. Anyways. But yeah, you were right here, Cyber. The Spire will be coming out, and it's going to be that Ling Bling Muta. A very, very standard TVZ, or ZVT rather, a build. It's the unit composition that deals with bio pretty well, especially if they were to go for like Marine Tank. But I think we're going to see just that Marine Marauder with a few Widow Mines as well to add to that. Yeah. I think he's going to be all right. See a good macro game coming out here.
Which, I mean, did follow suit similarly to game number 1. We saw a nice macro game from these two guys. Now, the dangerous thing for Ceonsamea coming off of game number 1 was he did go for a very Marine-heavy style. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to split against the Banelings as well as he would have liked, so potentially his Widow Mines might be getting better hits in this game than they did get in the previous game, but his splits are going to have to be good as more and more Banelings do get added on, and if it is that Ling Muta Bling, or that Ling Bling Muta style, then yeah, those splits are so important.
It's so important, especially when you do like a 3cc opener. You trade a lot, you know, so you may look like the Terran lost his whole army, but you're just trying to trade. Force the Zerg to use their gas on Banes instead of going up to that tech, into the Hive, Infestation Pit, upgrades. You force the gas to be used. And I feel like that earlier pressure that kind of failed is going to bite him in the mid-game. It gives Zode a much more comfortable position, at least going into the mid-game. So, but look at the supply here, Cyber. Whoa, I didn't even realize it. Yeah.
Well, Zode has been hitting pretty hard supply gaps, supply caps, not only in the previous game, but in this game as well. Now, in the natural expansion of Ceonsamea, he is going to be taking a little bit of damage from these Lings. Will be losing, 5 SCVs, which, considering that was 4 Lings, that's not a bad trade for our Zerg player. They just waltzed right into that natural and did that bit of damage.
How'd they get in there?
They literally just walked in. I mean, the supply depots were down. It was actually kind of funny to watch it happen. But yeah, so the splits were the downfall for Ceonsamea last game, but Zode has not been on top of his overlords in these games.
Okay. Well, it's very important to be ahead of the supply of the Terran player. He's going to try to defend this here. He has a lot of Lings and only a few Banelings, and now you see a lot of those Banes being made. But I'm actually going to applaud Ceonsamea's macro here. It's actually very nice, even though
he pumps out
I know that Zode. For sure. But like you said, like I was saying earlier, with the Infestation Pit is coming down. So Zode is trying to tech right now, but guess what? The push is on the way from Ceonsamea, and Zode needs to be very, very, very ready for this right now. Trying to set it up.
His creep spread isn't fantastic, but this engagement isn't going too well either way. Now, the Marines are being pre-split a lot better than they were in the previous game, but there's a lot of forces here still alive for Zode. These last couple of Baneling groups just not really impacting those Marines, and the reinforcement train is going to make this push even stronger.
Yes, and this is exactly what a Terran player would love to do. If he can get that 4th base, that is the main goal here. But it just seems like there's not a lot here for Zode. He traded right there, but you know, Ceonsamea is actually backing off. Maybe not realizing, or maybe a little bit more nervous to push onto that creep. We're seeing what you said earlier with the Corruptor, using Corruptors here.
Oh, so he's doing the same thing that he, he's doing a very similar style to what he did last game. Now, of course, it worked out great for him in that last game on Overgrowth, but again, if he does not get good impacts on those Marines, or potentially if this gold base just powers our Terran player through, then Ceonsamea showed that in the last game he was a player to be contended with.
Yeah, but here comes a big engagement, Cybert. A lot of Lings and only a few Banelings. The Widowmine not really doing what they want, but there's a big drop inside of the natural as well. So even though this army is getting cleaned up, there could be some good damage that is going to be done inside of the natural of Zode, and that's where the lair is. But look, there's actually a Spine Crawler here that's going to be able to ward that away. Even a Spore Crawler shooting at that medevac. So Zode defending on 2 fronts already, and showing some really nice multitasking for sure.
Yeah, that Static D definitely helping him deal with that drop. As he pokes a little bit forward there at that 4th base, he confirms that the gold is bunkered up pretty hard with Static D. The missile turret's going to be guarding that planetary fortress, and of course the Mule Hammer falling on that gold base. But I mean, he's Terran, so he's rocking that triple CC, or that triple orbital, I should say. as he's
Yeah.
This is the planetary.
This is really nice here, but even though it looks like the trades have been very nice, Zode getting that 4th base might be keeping him here a little bit better, but good engagement here. A lot of Lings are going to go ahead and surround all of those Marines. The Thor has no backup, and you know what? The lack of mutas here are going to save all of those medevacs, rather. And the Corruptors are just going to say, hey, it's going to... another day, maybe, perhaps.
Yeah, but this is something that's actually similar again, calling back to that last game, is we have 18 medevacs on the ground, or on the map, rather.
In the air.
Yeah, like, that's so many medevacs, and so it's like...
18 medevacs.
You look at the supply, and you're like, all right, Terran's 50 supply ahead, but that's a lot of medevacs.
That's a lot of freaking medevacs, man. Like, each Marine has a personal one that they could use, and he was even dropping a little bit, too. So that says something, for sure.
Yeah, another big engagement here as the Banelings going to be rolling in. Zerglings again getting pretty good surrounds, and finally the Corruptors getting to work on those medevacs, but the Marines do still stand strong. The Thor has not fallen, and our Zerg player is running out of units to crash into this Terran force. 3-3 is completed for our Terran fellow, but not for the Zerg.
That's so big. This is the point where every Zerg is crying because that 2-2 versus the 3-3. You notice how much stronger. Apparently, I don't know, the bigger buffs for them make their guns shoot a bit faster, apparently, or just the bullets are harder. They stopped using plastic pellets, apparently, and now look at this. Ceonsamea, fully maxed out, still has a lot of those medevacs, and the Corruptors can't contribute to the fight on the ground, which is very important when it comes to that.
Yeah, now these splits are, again, much better than we were seeing last game. The Zerglings, no surrounds, GG comes down, and the game is evened up. It's 1-1. Welcome to Deadwing, and we are kicking it off with some delightful coordination between Tempo and myself. Of course, this is game number 3. It's tied 1-1 in the score column for these two guys, but in the northern position we have, from the clan 440, the Purple Zerg, this is Zode.
I like their little icon. It's pretty cool. But his opponent spawning in the bottom right corner, representing Fo-Fo-G, or Fo-Fog, it is going to be the orange Terran player, Ceonsamea.
Got like a little shield going on.
I know, right? That's pretty dope, too.
Yeah.
Well, if this is anything like the other games, do you think we'll see pretty much another macro game? Somebody in the chat was mentioning that Ceonsamea is not really a cheesy player, so I don't think we will see anything kind of ridiculous Masa 2 racks that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
So
it would be kind of interesting to see them mix it up that way, but I'm totally okay if they want to play macro games, 5 games in a row, and it goes to the 5th game. I'm fine with that. I mean,
I'm down for that.
First.
TVZ, man, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, like everybody loves TVZ. But it's hatch first from Zode versus the 12-12, the 12 racks, 12 gas from Ceonsamea. So, I mean, it's not all that different from previous games.
I guess what we're going to have to kind of pay attention to, I would say, is how many Reapers will he make from this barracks, right? Like, he went for 3 last time, losing one of them, so he didn't get that snowball effect that he was looking for, but he very well could just make 1 Reaper and go right into the Reactor and the Hellions, but you never know until that first Reaper is done. So this is interesting here, though, Cybird. He went for the supply depot here to wall off before getting the command center, too, so maybe a little bit more nervous about some kind of early game pressure and actually getting his economy going.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, he's going for the scout as well. He really wants to get eyes on his opponent, figure out exactly what's going on, which, I mean, he sees the hatchery there, so he's going to be like, okay, you're not playing anything too crazy.
Yep, gonna scout it. Pretty much just standard stuff here. And pretty much the only thing that we can really pay attention to right now is, 1, will Zode pull out of gas after he gets 100 for the speed? Or also, how many Reapers is Ceonsamea gonna make? So those are the 2 main things that you want to watch right now. A second Reaper is on the way, though, and the command center is on the way, too, so he will go for it. Pretty much a similar build to what we saw, but will he go up to 3, or will he just kind of cut it here?
Yeah, I guess he could. He is going to be delaying that third Reaper potentially, but it is immediately into the reactor, so it's the double Reaper, which, I mean, I don't know, again, what the statistics are on if one is particularly more popular than the other. I feel like we see 2 Reapers more often than 3, but I don't actually have the stats to back that up.
I mean, every player has their kind of preference for it. I mean, we even saw him go for 3 last game, so sometimes when you're a Terran, maybe you just feel like making 2 or 3. One day you hate even numbers, one day you hate odd numbers, I don't know. But I feel like the fact that if you don't go for the third Reaper, then you get your tech out a lot faster. So these Hellions are going to hit a lot earlier, and if he doesn't lose these Reapers like he did before, that'd be much better for him, for sure. Oh, gotta be careful, though. Oh, the double jump.
That Reaper is so sick. He's like the cool kid right now, because he came like inches away from death, and he's like, nah, man, I got it. But we do have
that kid that like comes to your house with a trampoline? Like, you have a trampoline or something, and he'd like, you did like a split, or you did like a, I don't know, front flip, and then he comes over and does like a double backflip barrel roll. Crazy thing. And you're like, wow, I hate that kid.
Is that as crazy
on my own
as
trampoline?
Throwing down a 520 third CC? Or is it less crazy than that?
I don't even know, man. He's doing it while he does it. He does the triple barrel roll, axle, triple whatever you do, and throws a CC down as well. That is very early for sure.
It's very talented as well. I mean, you got to be able to get like your wireless mouse and keyboard up there so you can do all that.
Yeah, with like a laptop in one hand, iPad in the other.
StarCraft touchscreen. I mean, anyways, we do have the third hatch on the way for our Zerg player. And I mean, this is kind of harkening back to game number 1 on Overgrowth, where our Terran player took their third CC a little bit before that of our Zerg third hatch.
And it really says something, too, when a Terran player puts down that command center around the same time that a Zerg would get their third. He needs to scout in order to identify that, and I think he did. Oh, no, he didn't. He doesn't know. So,
yeah. I feel like he's just taking that bit of a
aggressive. Yeah.
He could, there's
like,
actually a lot of... Oh!
Whoa!
That's annoying. He just picked off all of those creep tumors, may be able to clean up a queen for his trouble as well.
Oh my god, he might actually get it. The Lings don't really care about the queens. They're like, I'd rather eat these rocks instead.
Yeah.
As they are dealing with that. And the only reason you get that is in order to deal with like a tank drop. But that is not what Ceonsamea is doing at all.
I mean, Hellions, if you drop them back there, it's just not very eventful. Potentially more creep tumors could get cleaned up, but this one weakened queen, that's kind of the target that I'm paying attention to for Ceonsamea. Is he going to be able to pick off a lot of Lings flooding forward, almost going for the surround there, but they do get pulled back by Zode at the last second.
Yep, and a wasted scan there. He wanted to get the creep tumor. That's a very ambitious creep kill right there. You go up into the creep, and didn't quite get it. Oh, whoa! Nice roasting here.
Yeah, wasn't actually able to clean up the Hellions. Yeah. There's still a lot of power left in this attack. They are starting to get weakened. They are starting to be cleaned up a little bit there. And there's only one of the Reapers still around, but still 6 Hellions are in this mix. And of course, he's been occupying our Zerg player. There's been no real potential threat for Ceonsamea to really deal with. He went up to those 3 bases, and he's just happy.
And still putting the pressure on. That is what's crazy about it, too. No Banshees, anything like that. And if you look at the worker count, he's actually ahead in 2. And with Triple Mule, that is a pretty big economic advantage here for Ceonsamea. So looks like Zode is going to try to take that 4th and try to equalize. But I feel like Ceonsamea is heading into the mid-game as best as he would like to, you know? He didn't lose his Hellions and Reapers like he did last time. This is a much better spot.
He's going to be repairing them up, getting that extra bit of HP. The really nice thing, if you can call it that, for our Zerg players, he's going to be leading by upgrades by a pretty significant amount. Now, potentially on the 2-2 timings from each of these guys, it may be a pretty nice, almost timing window for our Zerg player.
Yes. And that's what you need to utilize, too, because remember we saw the +3 finishing in the last game, right? And it started to get kind of out of hand, even though it felt like it was kind of even. Every Zerg player has that dilemma where the Terran player hits 3-3 and you're still on 2-2, barely getting your hive. And we'll see if Ceonsamea takes advantage of that. I don't know. He might, though.
For now, I mean, Zode is really looking to push out those drones, but Ceonsamea, he's been keeping up on that worker count. He's been a really equal... Oh!
Yeah.
More of these creep tumors just getting locked down. Fortunately, they weren't killed off. Oh, here's the big surround as the Bangling's going to be crashing in as well. Now, there is a potential tank drop going on as 4 Marines are loaded up in this medevac with a tank, and the Rocks, they never actually were killed.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he didn't finish them off. And yeah, you're right. They're going to drop right there. And this is going to be so annoying. There's no mutas out. He can't even deal with this yet.
Wow, that's so annoying, because he almost dealt with this preemptively. But now he's going to be losing... Well, only 3 drones so far. A couple more should go down before this gets cleaned up. But, oh, if this medevac gets cleaned up, no, it will be pulled back. Nice.
That's the high ground vision he needs in order to do this, man.
Yeah.
But this is so rough to deal with. The Queens are trying their hardest, but that's blast damage. They're mighty stacked at the moment. Yeah, they can't even deal with it completely. Oh, goodness, man. I don't know if, What is this? What is Zode gonna do? He's, like, in this awkward spot where he's like, why are you doing this at this time? Oh,
Okay.
the medevac is gonna go down.
That's what he's going to do, and now he's suddenly secured himself an easy way to clean this up. He can just attack those rocks. He doesn't have to go around the long way or anything like that. And, yep, the tank will be getting cleaned up. Hopefully it doesn't get a shot. Oh, it does get a shot off on those Banelings.
Whoa, he left it up, though. Whoa.
Oh.
It's only at, like, -4 HP.
Whoa. Oh.
The Queen throws a blow dart. African drive-by. It's like, what's up?
7 HP on that Queen. Kills off a tank. What a play.
Yep.
But we got the drop coming in from Ceonsamea. He's going to be heading potentially over to that main base. Might be going for the 4th base. And, of course, you can do a little bit of that elevatoring between the 4th and the main. Be really annoying.
Mm-hmm. He could do it. I mean, there are overlords in position. Zode is ready to deal with that. He just has to know where they're going to actually drop. And, yeah, he's ready for this. There's no other attack.
Yeah.
Just yet, at least. So...
Now, Zode is starting to...
Spire's just starting. Yeah.
Yeah, these units are trying to find a nice spot to drop, but they just can't find any angle that isn't already defended. Oh, my word! The Reaper clip!
Yeah, apparently Marines wanted a piece of that, too. That extractor, there's nothing that can hit it except for Queens right now. There's no mutas yet.
That's so annoying. I can't believe that he's actually able to make that work. But there is going to be a potential 2-2 timing for our Zerg. And again, I don't know if we should really call it a 2-2 timing, but there's going to be like a 30 to 40 second window where Zerg has 2-2 and Terran does not, but can he make anything happen?
Well, that's a lot of Zerglings. They're going to go in, they're going to get the surround on the siege tank and all of the bio. Medevacs will elevate those other units. There are no mutas to contest them at the moment. So they are the Lord of the Skies right now. But not for long, as the Spire has just completed.
Some of the Banelings were cleaned up, but there's so many more that were morphing in at the end of that fight, and there's still 30, almost 40 out on the map to deal with this bio. And once these mutas get coming out, like you were saying, this could be a very bad situation for Ceonsamea. Ooh, that drop
is cool. What he's doing, he's trading right now. Just 50 minerals for that, the Baneling too. Which does cost a bit of gas, 25 with the addition of a 50 mineral Zergling, so... At the end of the day, it is a good trade there, and he realizes that. And he's using the cliff again!
That is so annoying.
That cliff. Getting so much action here, yeah.
I mean, normally you just see that for the Reapers and then never used again, but in this case, Ceonsamea, he's showing it the love. He's like, no cliff. I like you. I remember what you've done for my Reapers.
Exactly.
Oh, man,
looks
that's
like
those.
Yeah, that is pretty big. He would love to be maxed out right now, but, you know, Ceonsamea has the capabilities of getting to that max supply himself, but he's just going to go ahead, take that 4th, feel pretty good about himself, and he's continuing with the upgrades. 3-3 on the way, drilling claws for those Widow Mines also on the way.
Yeah.
But Zode is looking to get a bit aggressive.
He's pushing out a lot of Ling Bane Muta once again, and he is going to be rolling into this potential 3rd base location as this Thor gets completely surrounded. Now the door is open, the rocks were crushed. Can these Marines actually survive against this Baneling swell? The answer so far is no, as the Widow Mines don't get really fantastic shots off, and this, the worker line is going to be sacrificed a little bit. 22!
Oh my god, 39 workers killed in total. The Thor is trying to find a way, a place in this world right before 3-3. Actually, 3-3 is less than halfway done, so I think you mentioned it earlier with that 2-2 timing where, well, I guess they're about equal on upgrades, but still, I think Zode has found an opening here. He's trying to push the issue, but Ceonsamea is not ready to die just yet.
I mean, he might be ready to die if these SCVs go down. 3 of them have been cleaned up as more of these banelings rolling in. 15 more SCVs being eliminated. The humanity as the workers lost
60 in total.
Oh,
yep, the Muta's gonna get that command center as well. And you know what's really great about this? Zode took a 4th behind all of this, looking to take a 5th of his own, getting the hive. So he did a big attack before teching this time. A little bit of a difference than we saw last game where he tried to tech and then he died. But this time, he did a big attack, reset Ceonsamea, and now he's spreading his creep pretty well, and also getting to that hive.
Yeah, now Ceonsamea does still have a powerful army. He may want to just hold off the extra couple of seconds until 3-3, but no, he can't quite wait. Here comes the Zerg crashing into this force. He's forced to pick up, wow, some of those Widow Mines getting some really nice hits there on the Banelings.
Yep, and look at that little bit of a shuttle to safety. But how safe are you? The Banelings are actually continuing to pursue. But I think with that 3-3 finishing soon, we may see a little bit of a difference. But it really depends on Ceonsamea's positioning here. He can't be sitting back and defending. This is the point where he would love to attack. Oh, those Corruptors. Very different style. We see some Koreans like Dark that does this, but 3-3 just finished. Let's see if the splits are going to be okay here for Ceonsamea. Pretty nice off of creep. Thor isn't even going to survive. Both of the Thors are going to survive. And now Zode is looking like he's on the back foot. He's on the retreating end.
Yeah, he's trying to power out as many more Banelings as he possibly can. But again, that 3-3 timing that you were talking about, you were talking in the last game, Zergs will cry at this point. It's 2-2 versus the 3-3. And will the splits be good enough in this game? It looks like that answer doesn't need to be really answered because the Widow Mines just dealt with the Banelings quite nicely.
Yeah, and look at this. Ceonsamea clearing the creep out, pushing on with those 3-3 Marines. More Thors are on the way. There is a lot of the army that is still at home. He hasn't rallied them just yet, and I feel like he may be able to end the game if he had used them. But giving Zode a little bit of breathing room, this may be the edge that he needs right now. He is mining off of a 5-base economy.
Well, the edge not only in this game, but in this series as these guys are tied 1-1. Yeah, who's going to be taking that advantage? Who's going to have the momentum swing and have that game point advantage?
Indeed, I feel like Zode really wants it here. Not buckle down and just die. He said no. Clean up that push. 3-3 is done, but you know what? 3-3 is on the way for himself. If he can hold on with this economic advantage, eventually he will get that +3/+3. May even be able to get that adrenal glands for the Lings, but another engagement. Not going to fully commit, and this is good by Zode. Not going off of creep. Making sure that every engagement will happen on creep. Oh, you were talking about the split, Cybert, but I don't see them right here. Big kaboom! And
those
clean up here.
Yeah, impacting so much. The Widow Mines do get some nice shots there. One of them, 13 kills, does still remain, but there's just so few supporting forces here for our Terran player. Ceonsamea just doesn't have the rally. He doesn't have the production following up that attack.
What is he going to do now? He is on the 4-base, so that's pretty good. But that was his moment, right? If you're not going to make something happen right there, when the Zerg player gets to that +3/+3, things are going to get a little bit more dicey here for the Terran player. So Ceonsamea needs to kind of recollect himself and figure out what it is that he's going to do, whether it be drops, whether it be just, I don't even know what he can do here. He's kind of doing the same thing, hoping to win the game with that kind of window that he had. But now, I feel like Zode got a little bit of a breath of fresh air, some life in him. And he's
that
got the breathing room that he wanted this whole game. Yeah.
The window's closing. 3-3 is more than halfway done. I mean, it's probably more than 2/3 of the way done at this point, but that window is just getting slimmer and slimmer. Again, the economic advantage that Zode has had for a while is potentially going to be paying off in a big, big way. Ultralisk Cavern even being added on. This is about as late game as it gets.
That's when you know you are confident, yes. You know you're confident, whether it be the Adrenal Glands, Ultras. That is a lot of Zerg here. That is not a lot of Terran here. And you know what? You don't even need Banelings. +3/+3 will be done very momentarily. Even the Thors are not that great against Massling. They just don't have the amount of DPS that they would love. But that's it. Look at that. With no mutas, what are they really going to do? They have nothing to really shoot at.
Yeah, not only that, but there was a medevac full of Marines adding insult to injury that just got cleaned up by the Corruptors. So not only did the ground army go down, any potential for the aggression also got cleaned up. And now the Orbital getting attacked. That 3rd base completely locked down. GG!
GG!
And Zode takes it.
right, everybody. Welcome back to the ASL Vanguard. It is going to be this matchup at TVZ between these two wonderful players, one of which spawning in the north portion of Catalina. Some would call it Capilena, but it is the Purple Zerg player representing 440. His name is Zode.
And in the southern position, our orange Terran player from Fofo G. He needs your cheers. He's down 1-2 in this best of 5. He is Ceonsamea.
Yep. He's one game away from elimination here. Zode getting that upper hand, bringing it to that 2-1. Some say that Catalina is a Terran favorite map. But we'll see how he does decide to utilize it. You know, he's been showing that he likes the Reaper a lot. And Cybert, I don't think he's going to deviate from that plan at all, as we do see a Reaper in production already.
Yeah, now this SCV in the main base of our Zerg player, is it going to be for any devious moves? It looks like the answer so far is no. We'll have to see if he keeps it around. Nope. I spoke too soon. I spoke too soon. He's got the bunker on the way. And yeah.
Yep.
Terran favored, maybe, but he is like, I'm going to make this Ceonsamea favored with this bunker,
apparently.
baby.
You know what? Usually I like to see it at the ramp so that you can get like the transferring drones. But if you get this up without it being seen, that's a pretty good win as well. Just giving your Reapers a nice little kind of hangout, chill spot.
Yep.
That's pretty much what it is.
Just with the finishing of that hatchery, it is in range, and he's like, oh, it's going to be one of those games. Okay.
Exactly. Yep. Oh, that drone getting so low. He might be able to finish it off. Oh, he's going for it. That extractor providing a safe haven. Kind of like how this bunker will.
Yeah, now we do have the second Reaper on the way across the map as a third Reaper is being added on back with the barracks at home. There isn't a fourth Reaper or any shenanigans like that. He's just going to be sticking with the 3 for now.
Yeah, and that's a lot actually, you know, and you always want to keep them alive. We were talking about it earlier when he kind of went that middle of the road build with 2 Reapers or whatnot. But this is what you will see. Either 1 Reaper or 3. Ooh. And this bunker is not going to get salvaged, actually. Going to get taken out. So you know what? Zode.
Yeah, well, the SCV went down as well.
Exactly. So this is really good for Zode. And look at this here. Cyber, you got Roaches on the way. But there's no speed on the way. So maybe he's just going to go right into Roach. Sometimes you'll see Roach Ling or Roach Bane. But it looks like it's just going to be a big Roach attack here. Something you can take advantage of if your Terran opponent goes for those 3 Reapers.
Yeah, and we do have the CC on the low ground, which will potentially be that point of contention, that target for the Roaches. But Zode, he has another potential opportunity. If this third CC goes up and Zode isn't able to put on a lot of damage, we could have a very economic 3-orbital Terran player.
Yes, I think that this is a really genius. I feel Zode, reading his opponent really well, knows that Ceonsamea loves to go for those triple command center builds. And there's going to be nothing. There literally will be nothing. You can make a bunker, but what are you going to put in there? 3 Reapers? Yeah, try to deal with a bunch of Roaches when that happens. There's no production here. And Hellions, they don't do too well against Roaches either. So this is a really nice move here.
And since the Reapers got pushed away, and then, of course, they were brought across the map to join up with the Hellions, they never went back into the main. They never went for that scout. And like you were talking about, these Roaches, they've got so much power and no real answer from our Terran player.
And not really a big commitment either from Zode. He might be delaying his third a bit, but this is going to do great damage. And it will set Ceonsamea back. And now he sees it. He says, uh-oh, look at them SCVs. Uh-oh, the supply depot might even be down. He's going to get right on in.
Yeah, he didn't even have to fight at the ramp. Didn't have to worry about any of that choke area. He's got a nice concave pre-set up with his Roaches going for those Hellions. And now the SCVs are going to be under direct fire. The Lings getting cleaned up, but the Roaches are the real threat.
Yes, and they are going to be able to do so much damage. Of course, if Ceonsamea holds on, he does have triple command center. He can bounce back. Oh, but the damage here, Cyber, they might not even get to that point. 15 workers, 16 workers have already been killed, and it is continuing to climb. This is a great attack here from Zode.
I mean, triple mule is great, but 9 SCVs to
9
36.
Total. Yeah.
Wow.
That's a pretty big difference for sure.
If there was
and then
ever
a bunker
a time,
after the fact.
He's like, hey man, I want to be safe
like,
for the follow-up. But
guess what the follow-up is? Economy here for Zode. He's
yeah,
not
I mean,
going to
he
go
got
all
his
in with it.
lair.
Yep.
Yeah, he got his lair. He's
Sure.
adding on the Baneling Nest as well. And, I mean, is he going to be actually looking to take that third? He's probably going to want to secure these units first.
Yeah, I would love to see him take a third here. He needs to get that going in order to kind of push his advantage a little bit more. 3 Reapers can do pretty good against drones. Has to be very careful. The Hellions are actually going to swing on into the natural, but there's roaches to greet them. And with some decent splitting here, using the Queens to deal with the Reapers and the roaches to deal with the Hellions. I think he's all right, man. 43 workers, but keep in mind, triple mule and also the capability of making 3 SCVs at a time.
Yep. Now, finally, the drone is being sent out for that third hatchery. It is going to be added on. And once he actually gets this triple hatch production up, he's able to utilize that larva. We could see that big swell of units. A lot of it just a Zerg that can't really be answered by the Terran. But, oh man, we've seen triple orbital work magic so many times in the past.
It does.
I don't know if it's going to work its magic again.
It's going to try to, you know what? And if Ceonsamea is able to be left alone for a bit, then yeah, sure it will. But what I'm really liking is that this is almost like a pseudo 2-base Spire, but of course the roaches were in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But he got the Spire and then took the third. So what Ceonsamea may expect would be, okay, macro game now, but there's going to be a bunch of mutas coming in, and there's not a lot of defense here. There's no engineering base, so there's not going to be any turrets that are going to be made, and the anti-air is looking pretty lackluster at the moment, so I think this is going to work pretty well. Yeah.
On top of that, all of these units defending for Zode, just these couple of roaches are enough to push back any potential scouting units that could go in. So even if Ceonsamea wanted to sacrifice units for the scout, he couldn't even do it if he wanted to. And now with the mutas going to be finishing up, they're flocking their way, winging their way across the map. And the best place for you to reveal mutas is in the mineral line of your opponent.
Exactly, and that's exactly what he's going to do here. One Marine is going to try to signal the others and saying, yo, the mutas are coming, but it might be a little bit too late. There is a Widow Mine here at the natural, though, so if he can bait them into those Widow Mines, you need, I think, 3 or 4. I think it's 4. Oh, the Tech Lab that has Combat Shield is going to get taken out, and it goes down. Oh, that so much damage being done, and there's so much droning being done behind it. 62.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting up to that 3-base economy, and he is not just using that third hatch for the larva, saturating it with those drones, going to be getting on that eco. More reactors getting focused down, and just little bits of damage being done here. 5 SCV kills as well, adding insult to injury. Oh!
And look at that. The mutas have found a spot where they would like to camp out. There are a few Marines here. Actually, that's quite a bit. I believe they do have stim already. But he's being... Oh, a big Widow Mine hit. Not getting too much, though. He's being very cautious with his units because he doesn't have medevacs yet. There's no starport at all. Oh, there is one, but it's not... no reactor on it. Oh, the damage cyber. This is crazy.
SCVs, 28 now, bringing the total up to 47.
47. Yep, a turret finally complete. But even if these mutas chill out, they're going to continue to hit those SCVs. And now, Zode is in a beautiful spot. 3 CC, but they're not mining from 3 bases. They're kind of just trying to play catch-up at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a good way to put it, is just playing catch-up. On top of that, the 2 Overlords drop and creep at both potential third base locations.
Both of them, yes.
Ugh,
so he has to move out to deal with that first. That is like, that. You said it right. That is annoying as a Terran player. Do you go out and clear it and then have the potential that there's a bunch of Lings and Banes waiting for you? Baneling speed is already done, but there's no upgrades here. One thing to note here for Zode. Playing an upgradeless style at the moment. Yep.
Yeah, which can be very dangerous, but fortunately for him, Ceonsamea's economy has been so ravaged that the upgrades are distinctly late for him as well. So, this Widow Mine, can it get a huge hit? No, it cannot. It gets completely denied.
Uh-oh, and that was a safety net there. That was a safety net. Now, what is going to stop these mutas? He's going to have to move all of his Marines down. And you know what? Zode doesn't even have to hang out there. He can say, I'm going to take a supply depot, get the bunker, and then just fall back. His macro is a little bit slipping, but it's not too much to be worried about at the moment. But he's definitely has control of this game at the moment.
I'm kind of curious.
Getting another Widow Mine.
Yeah, he's cleaning those Widow Mines up so nicely. But I'm kind of curious if we're going to see a big round of Overlords into just a huge swell of units off of these 4 hatcheries. And then, you know, because he's cleared out the front, it is being rebuilt, but it can be sniped once more.
Indeed, like, this is the best case scenario here for Zode. On a map like Catalina, where you're expecting to be the one under pressure, he is the one that's been applying it all game, opening up with a very aggressive build. And then he goes ahead and jumps into like a kind of 2-base muta, and then he gets his economy after it. Getting a 4th base, it is already done. This is out of control. I don't think Zode can be stopped at this point.
What a well-played ZVT coming out for Zode. And Ceonsamea, he's been scrambling over these last minutes to try to do anything at all.
And he's been stuck in his base the whole time. He's pretty much grounded. A good here attack, though. Even the mutas might be able to take those Marines out, but he's not going to risk it. A lot of Lings are on the way, and, you know, finally the 2 Evo Chambers will come out.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that he hadn't even constructed the Evo Chambers.
He didn't even start them, yeah. Does he need them, though? I mean, he hasn't really used any ground army anyway, so it's like...
That's true.
Who needs him? Who needs him?
He does have a large contingency of Lings just hanging out on the map. I'm pretty sure they're literally just safety in case something happens to these mutas. That was an incredible Widow Mine hit, but there's not a whole lot to finish these mutas off.
Nope. 12 have gone down so far, but that flock is mighty strong. 22 in the sky, and these Lings could turn into Banelings at any moment. I feel like Zode may be figuring out a point where he can just kind of steamroll here. If he made a bunch of those Banes, he's a little bit lacking in the gas department, but, you know, he's locked down since Ceonsamea into his base. Like, he hasn't been able to take a 3rd. And you're going to mine out eventually. Look at those mineral patches getting so thin.
Yeah.
Oh,
on top of that, I mean, the supply block's just adding insult to injury for Ceonsamea. Not only is he behind in that army supply, but he can't even build the units to try to catch up. It's just desperate measures here for Ceonsamea.
Yeah, it's a very slow death animation for sure. Usually if you're mining off of 3 bases as a Terran, you can come back in the situation, but... Oh, man. Zode is not letting that happen. He's taking bases everywhere. He's going to go and take another base, a 5th, towards the north side of the map.
Why not?
And I feel like Zode is playing with his food right now. And you know what? You don't want to play with your food if that food is Terran, because if there's any race that can come back off of that, it is definitely Terran. But not if you lose your 3rd command center. Uh-oh. It's going to go down. Oh, the SCV's desperately trying to repair it. It's so close.
Oh, these mutas getting pretty low. But yeah, they trade out for that orbital. Now this is the big push out. Zode is like, I just have to stop this one attack. Oh, Ceonsamea, he's throwing everything into the SCVs, the boys, like you were talking about.
And the boys need to be men, because today they fall to the force. That is Zode, representing that 440 pretty well, not gonna lie.